Hello everyone and welcome back to day 36 of our F125 hot lap and wet setup guides. Yes, we return this weekend to the jewel in the Formula 1 crown. We're back at the Circuit de Monaco, of course. If you end up with a wet race here, I'm so sorry. I've had to do one already on F125. It went terribly. Again, just the way the AI are inside this game, you can't really do a lot about it. They're going to be very, very OP in terms of just being able to look after their tyres, but then very, very slow when it comes to their pace. So you're going to have to do a lot of overtaking around this venue. Now, if you don't know what this series is about, we basically go through, I provide you guys with a race-ready setup inside F125. I talk you around the circuit, where you want to be looking for braking points, important kind of things like that. And then, obviously, I leave you guys with a hot lap as well. As always, timestamps will be linked down in the description below. We're trying to hit 15k subs here at the moment, so if these setups are useful, please do make sure to leave a like on the video and get yourself subscribed as well. But yeah, I mean, it's Monaco. This circuit is all about just getting practice in, feeling confident with the car underneath you. Setup will only make so much of a difference. If you keep putting in a wall, you're still going to suffer. So, first and foremost, focus on not crashing. Seems really obvious, but you'd be surprised just how common it still happens. We're making our way then down in towards the final couple of corners through the Raskas and Anthony Nogues. Now, the most important thing around this circuit is just about trying to avoid the wheel spin as best as you can. So, second gear, short shift up the third on the exit of the final corner. You're going to be all the way up in sixth by the time we get down in towards turn one. Bring the car over, basically try and follow this white line down the middle of the road, and then just as you kind of see it arc round with the yellow line to the inside, about 75-80 metres out from the corner, that is where you want to be braking. You want to try and make sure the steering is completely straight. You want to be aiming for that outside wall down in towards turn one there. But yeah, on the anchors about 80 metres out, bringing the car all the way down into second gear. You've really got to try and get the front end rotated nice and early, attack the curb on the inside there, and then run it right up towards the wall on the exit. Short shift back up through third and fourth gear as we make our way up the hill. Again, just trying to thread the needle as we get towards the top of the circuit. Sixth gear by the time we get up here, and then just as you go over this kind of crossing, as you can see, that is where you want to be getting on the brakes. If you try and wait until you're over the top of the crest, the weight transfer will be too aggressive to the front. You'll lock up and you'll just understeer out wide. So in race trim, I would say brake just before you get over the top. Get that centre of gravity over the front of the car already. That'll keep the nose down as you go over the top of the bump, and that is really, really important around this circuit. Downshift quite gently though, otherwise you're at risk of locking up the rears. But bring it all the way down into third gear, and then I like to really just kind of hold a little bit of throttle, keep the car close on that inside wall, but just be careful obviously where it opens up right about there. Leave it in third gear though as we make our way through the exit. Again, rotate the car in nice and early. Try not to run too wide off of the corner. As you can see, you've kind of got this bump, but it's more aggressive on that side of the circuit. In the dry, it's not much of a concern, but in the wet, yeah, you can really easily get a lot of wheel spin off of that corner as well, and potentially end up off in the other wall. So get over the top, down into fourth gear as we make our way down the exit. You don't have to avoid the bump too badly on the games, and then you want to be braking just before this little yellow gate on the outside as we make our way down the hill. From fourth gear, you're going to bring the car down into second, get a lot of steer and lock on through this almost hairpin corner before, of course, we head into one of Formula 1's most famous turns. Leave it in second gear as you make your way down. Pretty much as soon as you get the car straight again, you want to be just starting to think about the brakes. In terms of reference marker, I'll be honest, for me, I pretty much do it on feel, but I would say that little taxi lane on the outside is a pretty good reference point as to when you want to get back on the brakes. Down to the first gear then as we make our way through the hairpin. I actually try to avoid going too tight to the apex because you're better off trying to get the car nice and square a little bit earlier. You will kind of feel the back end of the car start to grip up on the exit. It's a little bit weird as you unlock the steering lock in first gear. Personally though, I like to leave it in first gear as we attack this next curb down the hill. Just got to be very, very careful on the wheel spin, and then just as you open it up, short shift up to second on the exit. Again, through Portier, it's going to be a little nudge of the brake to get the balance over the front end again, and then just nice and easy on the throttle. Third gear off of the corner, and then as soon as you get under the tunnel, that's when you're going to be going full throttle. It is dry under here as well, so, you know, it's just a bit helpful. It allows you to obviously build up a little bit of speed and then on the exit, braking at about 125 meters out. Again, you've got to brake a lot earlier here. Again, over the crest, you want to get the weight over the front of the car. I like to brake just at the end of this Salesforce sign. That has been my reference throughout practice. Avoid that outside curb, though. You're going to go all the way from 6th gear down in towards 2nd. Again, just being careful that you don't downshift too early, and avoid looking at the front tyres as well. Get all the way up towards the wall on the inside there. Attack the sausage curb on the exit as well. You want to try and get the car squared up away as early as you possibly can. And then all the way into 5th gear as we make our way down in towards to back. Braking just at this first tree. You want to go down into 4th gear. Again, just making sure you've got the weight over the front. Tip the car in, leave it in 4th gear through here. Be very, very careful that you don't understeer wide. Be really, really careful modulating the throttle as well. I won't go flat out until I short shift to 5th, and then I've got a clear line of sight through this next chicane. Almost immediately, again, though, you are back on the brakes into 3rd gear. Really try and get the car rotated through the first part to get it nice and square through the second, so you can really attack the exit of the corner, and then down in towards the Rascas. Just as you get over to this side, as the UPS sign changes to a Pirelli one, get on the anchors from 4th gear. You're going to be going all the way down into 2nd. Rotate the car in. Be careful not to do a Charles Leclerc and hit the inside wall with the rear right-hand side tyre. 2nd gear on the exit. Leave it in 2nd as we make our way through Anthony Nogues. Short shift back up to 3rd, and then get up to full throttle on the exit. And there we go then. That is going to be a lap of the Monaco Grand Prix. There is a lot of nuance to this venue when you're trying to get a lap time really hooked up well here. So, it is just one of those venues where you've really got to try and practice to make sure you get it hooked up. But yeah, let's head back to the pit lane though, and I'll talk you guys through the setup. Well, having a look then at our setup figures here for the Monaco Grand Prix, rather unsurprisingly, 50 front wing, only 48 the rear wing. I'm sure it's the only track on the calendar where I'm running less rear wing than I do in the dry. But like I mentioned in the last couple of videos, you always want more front than rear wing anyway, just because it makes the car a little less understeery. And I found 48, especially in the wet conditions where understeer is more likely to happen, running 48 rear wing just gave me a little bit more bite. Rather weirdly, less rear wing gives you more bite from the front end of the car. It's been the same for like the last 10 F1 games now, so it's a little bit weird, but it is very, very important to do so. 95-25 then for your on and off throttle differential settings. Again, where this circuit is a lot of traction zones, a lot of low speed traction zones, you've got to be careful about wheel spin, but keeping the diff quite locked just gives you a little bit more added stability on the exit. It means obviously the wheels can just spin a little bit independently, but not too much around this track either. Minus 3.4, minus 1.9, 0.01, 0.12 for your front camber and toe angles. Again, fairly standard for this game. 34.22, you want to run very, very firm suspension around this circuit, but 7.15 on the anti-roll bars. Again, a lot firmer than we're running in the dry. 23.49 for your ride height settings. Again, if you find the car's kind of bouncing about, especially down the chicane after the tunnel and through those final few corners as well, you can up this to like 25.52, but it will make, again, the car just a little bit more understeery, so you have got to be careful of it. 55.99 on your brake pressure and front brake bias. Again, as I say every time, if you're struggling with locking the rears, move the brake bias a couple of percent forward and then start reducing pressure. That's the best way to kind of find a stable setup that will give you tyre life throughout the entirety of a stint. And then 22.9, 21.1 for your PSIs. As I said, if you're in a league race, it should be a one-stop round here, but quite a lenient one, so you can obviously try and work around, obviously not getting slowed up behind other people and things like that. If you're going up against the AI, good luck. I am working on a video at the moment, though. That'll be going live on Matt212 about kind of one setting that you can change inside F125 that will hopefully fix wet weather driving. But yeah, that's going to do us for this one, though. A massive thank you to all of you guys for getting to the end. If you have enjoyed, like I said, please make sure you hit that sub button. Leave a like if these videos are helping you out, and we'll be back very soon ready. I believe we're next out in Canada, Montreal. You're fairly likely to get a wet race there, so hopefully that setup's going to be useful again.
Fantastic, you've got pole position.
How far are we from pole? Because, I mean, I don't regret I gave it all, and I think the lap was amazing, but last corner I could have done a bit better.